Where is she? Why didn't she say goodbye? I felt like I was living a nightmare, each day passing with no sign of her return. The emotional turmoil was exhausting, and I often found myself crying in quiet moments, feeling the weight of my fears and regrets. Welcome. Today, I will share with you one of the most difficult experiences I've ever gone through in my life. It's the story of my daughter's disappearance, the moment my entire life changed. In this series, I'll walk you through every detail, how it all began, my emotions during those moments, and the steps I took in my search for her. It's a story filled with anxiety, hope, and the struggle to regain a piece of my heart. Stay with me until the end to hear how I faced this ordeal and what we can all learn from this painful experience. I remember that day as if it were yesterday, a normal morning, the kind that makes you feel falsely secure. The sun was streaming through the kitchen window, casting warm light on the breakfast table. I called out to my daughter, expecting her to come bouncing down the stairs, her hair a mess and a sleepy smile on her face. But when she didn't answer, a knot of anxiety began to twist in my stomach. I waited, thinking she had gone for a walk or to meet friends. But as the hours passed, my anxiety turned into a panic I could barely contain. I made my way to her room, hoping to find something that would explain some of my fears. The door was slightly ajar. When I entered, my heart sank. The bed was neatly made, but all I found was her phone, which she had left on her bed, and her favorite books, still scattered on the nightstand. Her clothes were gone, along with a small bag she took with her on trips. It hit me like a freight train. My daughter had run away. The world around me fell away as the shock washed over me. It felt like the ground had been ripped out from under my feet, leaving me suspended in a void of disbelief. I stumbled backward, my mind racing with questions. How did this happen? What did I miss? I felt a wave of guilt wash over me, every thought a stark reminder of my failure as a mother. I fell to the floor, tears streaming down my face, the weight of despair crushing me like a tidal wave. Everything was dark in my mind and heart. I saw nothing but darkness and heard nothing but silence. I randomly called her friends, hoping that someone had seen her. Every unanswered call only increased my fear and confusion. I pulled myself together and called the police. As I explained the situation, my voice trembled, and I could hear the desperation in my words. They assured me that they would take this seriously and do everything they could to help find her. But even as I hung up the phone, a sense of fear lingered within me. What if they couldn't find her? What if she was out there alone, scared and vulnerable? As the hours passed, I felt the walls closing in on me, as if the world had stopped turning. For everyone else, life went on. Cars were passing, people were laughing outside, and the sun was setting like any other day. But for me, time stood still. It was as if my heart had been ripped from my chest, leaving a void that nothing could ever fill. I spent the next few days in a fog, consumed with anxiety, fear, and confusion. I became a woman on a mission. I reached out to everyone I could think of, friends, family, teachers, anyone who might have seen her or had an idea of her whereabouts. I put up flyers around the neighborhood, my heart aching every time I saw her smiling face staring back at me. I shared her story on social media, hoping that someone, somewhere, might have information that could lead me to her. Every time my phone rang, my heart raced with hope, only to be met with disappointment when it was just another unrelated message. I felt like I was living a nightmare, each day passing with no sign of her return. The emotional turmoil was exhausting, and I often found myself crying in quiet moments, feeling the weight of my fears and regrets. Days turned into weeks, then months. Each day felt like a lifetime. Friends and family tried to comfort me, offering words of support, but their voices became background noise to the endless loop of questions that played in my mind. Where is she? Why didn't she say goodbye? It was unbearable, the not knowing. Every moment was filled with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Had she run away? Was she in danger? Did she hate me for some reason I couldn't fathom? The questions haunted me, but there were no answers. After my daughter disappeared, I was overwhelmed with emotions, feeling lost and deeply sad. The house had been filled with her laughter and vibrant energy. It felt like a hollow shell. The silence filled every room, which made me feel even more acutely aware of her absence. I would wake up every morning with a heavy heart, hoping that today would be the day she would return. But each day brought only disappointment, the painful reminder of her absence. The longing for her was palpable. I found myself drawn to her room, which had become a haven of memories. I would sit on her bed, surrounded by her belongings, inhaling the faint scent of her favorite perfume that filled the air. It was a bitter reminder of our shared moments, late-night conversations, laughter at silly jokes, and quiet times spent together. Every piece in her room told a story, and I often found myself immersed in those memories, comforted by the solace they brought, even amid the devastation her absence had wrought. At night, I would lie on her bed, hugging her pillow tightly to my chest, as if it somehow managed to bridge the gap between us. The emptiness in the space beside me felt like physical pain, a constant reminder of loss. I would close my eyes, hoping to dream of her, to feel her warmth beside me again, but instead, I often faced restless nights filled with tears and longing. The darkness of the room reflected the darkness in my heart, and I would find myself chanting her name in the silence, hoping she would hear me. Every corner of the house held a memory that tugged at my heartstrings. I would find myself staring at pictures of her, each smile frozen in time, and the tears would flow freely. I missed her more than words could express, her laugh, her quirks, the way she lit up the room just by being in it. The pain of her absence was not just a feeling, it was a constant companion, a heavy weight I carried with me throughout the day. In my solitude, I would often replay our last moments together in my mind, searching for signs that I could have done something different. The what-ifs would haunt me, and I would write her letters in my heart, pouring out feelings of love, regret, and longing. I wanted her to know how deeply I missed her, how I wished I could have done more, been more for her. One night, as I was sitting in her room, sipping on her things and memories, one of her old diaries fell into my hands. I don't know why my heart trembled, and I was afraid to read it. Maybe it was my fear of surprises that would hurt my heart and break me even more, but I couldn't stop myself. I turned the pages, my hand trembling, until I found a paragraph that made my breath stop in my throat.
Sometimes I dream of leaving, getting away from it all and starting over. I may be running away from myself, but the idea of disappearing feels like freedom.
The words were like a punch to the stomach. Had she planned this? Was she so miserable and lost that the only solution she saw was to leave it all behind? What other world was she talking about? What voice was calling her? Was this why she left, to find this place, this person? I had missed it, missed the signs. Guilt washed over me like a tidal wave. How could I have been so blind? I sank deeper and deeper into my grief. In the days that followed, I became consumed by the idea that I had failed her as a mother. I had always thought we were close, that she would come to me if she was struggling. But now I realized how little I truly knew. I spiraled deeper into my grief, my body aching with the weight of her absence. The physical pain became unbearable at times. My chest felt like it was caving in, my heart pounding as if trying to escape from my own body. But then, something strange happened. One night, as I lay awake in bed, my mind racing as usual, I felt it. It was faint at first, barely noticeable, but it was there, a presence. It wasn't just a memory or a fleeting thought. It was her, my daughter. I could feel her. It was as though she was standing right next to me, her emotions washing over me like a wave. I felt her fear, her confusion, her longing. It was as if she was reaching out to me from somewhere far away, trying to connect. I don't know how to explain it. There was no sound, no words, but I felt her. In that moment, I realized something profound. My daughter hadn't disappeared entirely. Physically, yes, she was gone. But spiritually, emotionally, she was still there, with me. And for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we were still connected. That night, I fell asleep with a sense of peace I hadn't known since she left. But as I drifted into sleep, I heard it, the faint sound of footsteps outside my bedroom door. My heart raced as I held my breath, waiting. The door creaked open, and I knew something was about to change, forever.